Battle of the Brains, presented by Virginia 529, Central Virginia's ultimate high school academic quiz show. Today's match features L.C. Bird High School versus Riverbend High School. Let the battle begin.
Hello and welcome to Battle of the Brains, Central Virginia's longest running high school academic quiz show. I'm Cheryl Miller. Our competition welcomes teams from schools all across the Commonwealth of Virginia. Our academic athletes today are the Skyhawks of L.C. Bird High School, coached by Mark Cullip and Shane Malenko. This public high school is part of the Chesterfield County School District. It's home to the Governor's Academy of Engineering Studies. Also with us today, the Bears of Riverbend High School, coached by James Conley. Home to the Bears, Riverbend High School, one of 5 high schools in the Spotsylvania County area near Fredericksburg, hosts one of the Commonwealth's 19 governor's schools. It's great to have all these students here with us today. Our match will consist of 3 toss-up rounds and a category round. Players will buzz in and wait for me to call on them before giving their answer. Any interruption of questions with an incorrect answer will result in a point deduction, but there is no deduction for an incorrect answer to a completed question. All right, students, a big welcome. Thank you for being here with us for Battle of the Brains. Let's start the first toss-up round. In the original Monopoly game, what is the most expensive single undeveloped property? Cole.
Boardwalk.
That is correct. It costs $400. What is the title of the poem that begins with the line, "Once upon a midnight dreary, while I pondered, weak and weary"? Cole.
The Raven.
That is correct. In the game of baseball, what does the pitcher's ERA stand for? Cole.
Earned run against.
That is incorrect. Riverbend? And that would be a earned run average. Chuck Taylors are a make of what brand of basketball shoe? Henry?
Converse.
Correct. This Canadian province has both Oilers and Flames. Name this province that has its capital in Edmonton and is also the northern terminus of the Keystone Pipeline. Cole?
British Columbia.
That is incorrect. Riverbend? Cassie?
Nunavut.
It is actually Alberta. What is the only organ in the female body where meiosis occurs? Henry?
The ovaries.
Correct. You may need your pencil and paper for this. How many negative integers are there between -9 and 5? Hardikea?
9.
That is incorrect. Riverbend? Emma?
8.
8 is correct. Usually seen around the coast, what does a single red flag containing a black square signify? Cole?
Hurricane.
That is incorrect. Riverbend? Emma?
Rip current.
It's actually a tropical storm or storm warning. Some economists think that economic forces should be allowed to work without interference from government. What?
Laissez-faire.
That is correct. What name brand of snack crisp was the first to be packaged in a tube? Emma?
Pringles.
That is correct. They were invented by Frederick Bauer in 1966. After Jesus was arrested, which apostle disowned him 3 times? Aubrey?
Peter.
Correct. Peter is correct. All right, teams, watch the screen and listen carefully. Here is a Virginia-based video question from a member of the Battle of the Brains Brainy Bunch, and you must wait until the question is completed before buzzing in.
The National Park Service's Wright Brothers Monument is located in which specific North Carolina town?
Emma?
Kitty Hawk.
That is incorrect. L.C. Bird? Cole?
Cape Hatteras.
It's actually in Kill Devil Hills. Owned by the Volkswagen Group, Lamborghini is an Italian manufacturer of luxury sports cars. Spell Lamborghini.
Lamborghini.
That is correct. A prancing horse is the logo for what other Italian automaker? Cole.
Ferrari.
Correct. The official flag of the Olympic Games has how many rings? Hardikea.
5.
Correct. Nocturne Blue and Gold and a depiction of his mother called Arrangements in Gray and Black are paintings by what artist? Emma?
Whistler.
Correct. James Whistler. When merchant Marco Polo arrived in China, he found it under the control of a Mongol emperor. Name this emperor at whose court Marco Polo remained. Cassie?
Kublai Khan.
That is correct. Remained there for 17 years as an advisor. Since her death over 200 years ago, over 40 screen versions of her works have been produced. Name this author. Aubrey.
Jane Austen.
Correct, of Emma, Mansfield Park, and Pride and Prejudice. Named for General Douglas MacArthur, whose burial site is across from the MacArthur Center, is a major shopping destination in what Eastern Virginia city? Cole.
Arlington, Virginia.
That is incorrect. Riverbend? And that would be located in Norfolk. And that buzzer means the end of our first toss-up round. A good job by our team so far. Up next, we'll introduce you to today's players, and then they'll take on the category round when Battle of the Brains continues.
Battle of the Brains is always available. Find full episodes on YouTube and follow along with Battle of the Brains on social media. Welcome back to Battle of the Brains.
And here are the scores following the first toss-up round here on Battle of the Brains. Our team from L.C. Byrd High School with 60 points. Our team from Riverbend High School with 80 points. And we'll get back to our match just ahead. But first, let's introduce you to today's players. We'll start with our team from L.C. Byrd High School. The Skyhawks are coached by Mark Cullip and Shane Malenko. First up is Cole Keeling, who is a senior. Cole is interested in engineering. Next up is Henry Price, who is a junior. He's in the fishing club and enjoys that. Next up is our team captain, Kartikeya Goal, who is a junior. He's in the Governor's Academy for Engineering Studies and also enjoys robotics and tennis. And wrapping up our team from L.C. Byrd is Lucy Casey, who is a sophomore. She's the Chief Business Officer for the RoboHawks and in the Governor's Academy of Engineering. That's our team from L.C. Byrd High School. Now let's meet our team from Riverbend High School. First up is Aubrey Trubenbach, who is a senior, and she's a member of the French Honor Society, enjoys ballet and judo. Our team captain is Emma Lohr, who is a senior, is involved in the French language program and president of the French Honor Society, and is also president of the Riverbend National Honor Society. Next up is Anthony Mugavero, who is a senior, participates in competitive year-round swimming for the Stingrays team and also swims for Riverbend High School, enjoys classical music and plays violin in the symphonic orchestra at the school and also likes playing piano. And wrapping up our team is Cassie Margalit, who is a senior, enjoys reading and writing and is active in the French Club and the French Honor Society and plans to study linguistics. That's our team from Riverbend High School, and great to have all these students here with us today. Now it's time for them to take on the category round. For this round, each team will select one 10-question category from today's choices. If a team gets all of its questions correct in the allotted time, they'll receive a 20-point bonus. All right, teams, these are the categories today from which you may choose. They are musical counts, what's the score, and foreign words and phrases. We do note that in this round, only the captains can officially answer for the team, though they may confer with their teammates to try to come up with the correct answers. And by the rules, the high score team gets the first choice of category, so that is our team from Riverbend. Emma, quickly talk it over with your teammates and let me know what category you would like to play.
Foreign words and phrases, please.
All right, given the first letter and a clue, identify each of the following foreign words or phrases. The first starts with P, truth in Russian or the name of a Communist Party newspaper.
Pravda.
Correct. C, that's life in French.
C'est la vie.
Correct. K, fate or destiny in Turkish or the title of a 1953 Broadway musical.
Karma.
It would be kismet. H, pride or arrogance in Greek.
Pass.
That would be hubris. Starts with S, always faithful in Latin, the U.S. Marine Corps motto.
Semper Fidelis.
That is correct. Starts with C, audacity in Yiddish.
Pass.
That would be chutzpah. S, heavy walking stick in Irish.
Pass.
That's a shillelagh. Starts with K, obsequious behavior in Chinese.
Kowtow.
It's kowtow. Starts with Y, union in Hindi or the name for a Hindu discipline, and that would be yoga. That was a tough category. We were all over the place. It wasn't going to be just French and Spanish. All right, Elsie Bird, musical counts or what's the score? Kartikia, what would you and your team like to play?
Musical. Musical counts.
All right, give the counts of these things musical. First is number of keys on a piano.
88.
Correct. Strings on a violin.
4.
Correct. Movements in a standard sonata.
3.
3 is correct. Lines on a staff
5.
is correct. Half steps or semitones in an octave.
2.
It's 12. Strings on a standard guitar.
Guitar. 6.
Correct. Quarter notes that would fit in a measure of 6/8 time.
3.
Correct. Valves on a standard trumpet.
3.
Correct. Completed numbered symphonies by Ludwig van Beethoven.
9.
Correct. And finally, quarter notes in a dotted whole note.
3.
That would be 6. But good job on counting those musical notes. All right, good job in the category round for both of our teams. Up next, we'll have another toss-up round as we continue with Battle of the Brains.
Miss a week of Battle of the Brains? Or want to catch up on a full season of battle gameplay? Find full episodes on our YouTube channel. Welcome back to Battle of the Brains.
Here are the scores following the category round here on Battle of the Brains. Our team from Elsie Bird High School with 100 points. Our team from Riverbend with 95 points. And now it's back to Battle of the Brains and another toss-up round. And just a reminder for our players, you will lose points if you interrupt a question with an incorrect answer. The other team will then have the chance to answer. And there is no conferring in the toss-up rounds. All right, teams, here we go. The only person in history to have had a husband, daughter, and son-in-law win Nobel Prizes also won 2 herself. Aubrey.
Marie Curie.
That is correct. She won in physics and chemistry. The upper jaw in humans is called the maxilla. What is the lower jaw called? Emma.
Mandible.
Correct. All right, teams, watch the screen and listen carefully. Here is a Virginia-based video question from a member of the Battle of the Brains Brainy Bunch, and wait until the question is completed before buzzing in.
The Pope Leahy House was designed by what noted American architect famed for promoting the Prairie School of Architecture?
Lloyd Wright.
That is correct.
Okay.
To date, who is the only American to have served 2 non-consecutive terms as Aubrey?
Grover Cleveland.
That is correct, as U.S. President. What country do British swallows, laden or unladen, migrate to for the winter? Cole.
Portugal.
That is incorrect. Riverbend? Emma?
Morocco.
They actually go to South Africa. What name is given to a quality like speed or distance, which in contrast to velocity or displacement, Cole?
Scalar.
That is correct. Does not have a direction. Cheops was the name used by the Greeks to designate which European pharaoh and builder of the Great Pyramid? Aubrey.
Ramses.
That is incorrect. Elsie Bird? Lucy?
Khufu.
Khufu is correct. What was the name of the treaty between the Bolshevik government and the Central Powers that... Cassie?
Treaty of Brest-Litovsk.
That is correct. It ended Russia's involvement in World War I. Who was the first African American to become a member of the U.S. Supreme Court? Emma.
Thurgood Marshall.
That is correct. Appointed in 1967, retired in 1991. Henry Antrim and William H. Bonney are aliases of what Old West outlaw and gunfighter? Cole.
Jesse James.
That is incorrect. Riverbend? Aubrey?
Billy the Kid.
Yep, it was the other one. You got it right. What type of polygon is described as a polygon placed inside a circle so that each vertex of the polygon, Cole?
Circumscribed.
That is incorrect. That each vertex of the polygon touches the circumference of the circle. Riverbend? And that would be an inscribed polygon. A derailleur is a device that changes gears on a bicycle. Spell derailleur. Kartikia.
D-E-R-A-I-L-L-E-U-R. D-E-R-A-I-L-E-R.
That is incorrect. Riverbend? It's spelled D-E-R-A-I-L-L-E-U-R, derailleur. 0 degrees Celsius is the same as how many degrees Fahrenheit? Kartikia?
32.
Correct. In terms of electricity, what does AC stand for? Cole?
Alternating current.
Correct. Which amendment to the U.S. Constitution prohibits the seizure of private property for public use without just compensation? Cassie?
Fourth Amendment.
That is incorrect. Cole?
The Eighth Amendment.
It's actually the Fifth Amendment. Quetzalcoatl, the feathered serpent, was the chief god and hero of what Mesoamerican civilization? Aubrey?
The Aztecs.
Correct. What is the term for animals without backbones? Kartikia?
Invertebrates.
Correct. And that buzzer means one more toss-up round to go as we continue here on Battle of the Brains. We'll find out who our winner is and who will go on to the next round here. We'll double the point value. Stay with us.
Love Battle of the Brains? Ready for your high school team to play next season? Get in touch. Go to battleofthebrains.net to learn more. Welcome back to Battle of the Brains.
Here are the scores as we head now into the final round here on Battle of the Brains. Our team from L.C. Byrd High School, 140 points. Our team from Riverbend High School, 175 points. For this final toss-up round, the point score for a correct answer is doubled, but so is the penalty for an incorrect answer given before I finish the question. There is no deduction for an incorrect answer to a completed question. All right, teams, good luck. This is our final toss-up round. Often used in marching bands and drum corps, what type of drum has metal wires stretched across the bottom drum head? Cole?
Snare drum.
Correct. Name this law in chemistry that states that the absolute pressure and volume of a given mass of confined gas are inversely proportional if the temperature remains unchanged within a closed system. Kartikia?
Ideal gas law.
That is incorrect. Riverbend? Aubrey?
Bohr's Law.
Repeat for me.
Bohr's Law.
It's called Boyle's Law. The test uses 3 multicolored components, one of which consists of 5 black on white images. Name this psychological test employing ink blots. Emma?
Rorschach.
Repeat for me, please.
Rorschach.
It's called Rorschach. Singers Blake Shelton and Gwen Stefani have been judges on what popular, Emma?
The Voice.
Correct. TV reality talent show. Which U.S. state forms the eastern border of Lake Champlain? Emma?
Michigan.
That's incorrect. L.C. Byrd? Cole?
Pennsylvania.
It's actually Vermont. Over 99% of the matter which comprises the sun consists of what 2 elements? Cole?
Hydrogen and helium.
Correct. Oberon, Ariel, and Titiana are moons of which planet? Cassie?
Saturn.
That is incorrect, and it's Titania. I misspoke. L.C. Byrd? Lucy?
Jupiter.
It's actually Uranus. Lineweaver-Burke plots are used to study the kinetics of what molecules who act as biological catalysts? Aubrey?
Enzymes.
Enzymes is correct. A leaf needs 3 things to make food: carbon dioxide, light, and what? Cassie?
Glucose.
That is incorrect. L.C. Byrd? Henry?
Nitrogen.
We need water. The culinary term calamari is used for a dish made from what animal? Henry?
Squid.
Correct. What is the capital of the state of Oregon? Cassie?
Portland.
That is incorrect. L.C. Byrd? Cole?
Can you repeat the question?
What is the capital of the state of Oregon?
Spokane.
It's Salem. What 2-word term is collectively given to the journalistic profession or its members of the press? Cole?
News anchor.
That is incorrect. Riverbend? Cassie?
Press agent.
We are called the fourth estate. In the key of C major, what notes correspond to the spaces on a bass clef staff? Anthony?
A, C, E, and G.
That is correct. The moon temperance, the fool, death, justice, and the hanged man are some of the 78 cards in what kind of deck often... Lucy. Oh, I'm sorry.
Tarot deck?
That is correct, used by fortune tellers. It consists of mayo, buttermilk, mustard, and maybe a little onion and garlic. What is the top flavor of salad dressing? Henry.
Ranch.
Ranch is correct, created in 1949. Which member of European royalty lost her life in 1997? Cassie.
Princess Diana?
Correct, in Paris. This editor of Pravda became a Secretary General of the Central Committee in 1922. Cassie.
Joseph Stalin?
Correct. Name the substance usually found in cereal grains like wheat and rye that can cause a digestive disorder. Emma.
Gluten?
Correct, called celiac disease. When the Earth's North Pole is tilted toward the sun, what season is it in the Cardiakia?
Summer.
That is correct, here in the United States. And that buzzer is the end of our game. While our judges double-check the final score, here's how to a reminder of how to stay connected with us here at Battle of the Brains.
Stay up to date with Battle of the Brains. Follow along as your favorite teams advance this season. Visit battleofthebrains.net to learn more. And follow the show on social at Battle. As we continue round one in this current season of Battle of the Brains, join us next week as we welcome Western Branch High School versus Louisa High School.
And here is the final score for today's match, determining which team will continue on in this season's competition. Ending the match with a final score of 260 points, our team from L.C. Byrd High School. Great job today by Cole, Henry, Cardiakia, and Lucy. Best of luck as you continue on with the school season. Our winners today with a final score of 295 points, our team from Riverbend High School. Great job today by Cassie, Anthony, Emma, and Aubrey, and we will see you all in the next round. I'm Cheryl Miller. Thank you for watching and playing along here on Battle of the Brains, and we'll see you back here next week. Great match, teams.
Game over. Thank you for watching Battle of the Brains, presented by Virginia 529. Goodbye.